Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. If you like the video today, please comment and share it. We'll surely appreciate it here on 100 Yards of Football. I'm your host, Vincent Turner, and I'd like to give a special thanks today for Mr. Logan Landers being my producer of these great videos that we've done over the last few weeks here on 100 Yards Football, and him being the main producer today, me doing Joe Greene. So if you like the video today, please comment and share it. We'll surely appreciate it here on 100 Yards of Football. When you think about football and you think about the history of the game in the 60s and the 70s, and you think about the defensive line, this gentleman right here that's on the screen, Mean Joe Greene, might be the best defensive tackle that's ever played the game. A first-round draft pick out of North Texas State. Got drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were coming off a 1-16 season. This gentleman is the reason the Steeler Nation is waving up terrible towels. He was the head man of a storied franchise at the highest level. That's why we love the Pittsburgh Steelers today, because this young man right here got it started. A 4-time Super Bowl champion, played in 181 games, 77 tackles from the defensive tackle position, 1 interception, Defensive Player of the Year in 1972, 1974. And let me tell you something. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. If you've been following 100 Yards of Football, and I did not like the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I didn't like Joe Greene. But let me tell you something. The reason those Pittsburgh Steelers teams were able to beat the Dallas Cowboys, they beat them up physically. They intimidated them. They took them out like they was girls on the street corner. And this young man right here, Joe Greene, was the leader of the pack. When you're talking about a gentleman's skill set as a defensive tackle, the heart and soul, I give him an A+ as a D tackle. He had impact on the game from a defensive tackle position, A+. Mean. What I mean by that is a skill set. He will knock the ish out of you, A+. The size, 6'4", 280, A+. Fast as any D tackle that's played this game, A+. Aggressive as a defensive tackle, A+. Great attitude as a defensive tackle. So when you lined up in front of Joe Greene, he didn't smile at you. He didn't say nothing. If he was going to say any words, you know what the words are going to be? I'm going to kick your ass all day up and down this field. Steeler Nation in the house. Dominant as a defensive tackle, A+. Overpowering as a defensive tackle, A+. Destructive as a defensive tackle, A+. Competitive as a defensive tackle, A+. In the famous words of my boy, Mr. Mark Denham, unstoppable as a defensive tackle, A+. There's one game that I think about Joe Greene and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then there's one season. Super Bowl IX against the Minnesota Vikings. That Vikings team that had Fran Tarkenton, Chuck Foreman, John Gilliam, Steve Riley, Carl Eller, Jim Marshall, Gary Lawson, Alan Page, Matt Blair, Nate Wright, and Paul Krause. What the Steelers defense did to the Minnesota Vikings that day was unbelievable. Held them to 17 yards rushing. You know Joe Greene's stats for that game? 1 interception, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and 6 tackles from the defensive tackle position. Then, let me go back. When he was voted NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 1972, listen to these stats. 11 sacks, 42 tackles. That's why he was NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And then in 1976, probably the greatest season of any team on the college and professional level in a single season. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense, probably, I would have to say, I grade them as the greatest single season defense in 1976. They allowed 10 points a game, 138 points in 14 games, 5 shutouts, 5 straight shutouts that season, and 3 games that they didn't allow over 3 points. And you know what? The young man on this screen was the monster. He was the owner. He was the leader. And he was the guy that set the tone for that defense in 1976, the Pittsburgh Steelers. What a phenomenal football player at the D tackle position. In my opinion, the greatest defensive tackle that's ever played this game. A 4-time Super Bowl champion. Defensive Player of the Year, as I just mentioned, in 1972 and 1976. And when you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers from 1969 to 1981, you're going to mention Mel Blount. You're going to mention Franco Harris. You're going to mention Terry Bradshaw. You're going to mention Rocky Bleier. You're going to mention Donnie Shell. You're going to mention L.C. Greenwood. You're going to mention Dwight White, Ernie Holmes, Jack Lambert, Jack Hale, Mike Wagner, Tony Dungy. But when it's all said and done here on 100 Yards of Football, the gentleman on the screen right there, he set the tone for that organization. And that's why the Pittsburgh Steelers right now is one of the top organizations of all of pro football in the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. I surely appreciate it here on from 100 Yards of Football. Special thanks to my producer, the very talented Mr. Logan Landers. Y'all be blessed here on 100 Yards of Football.